What is up? We are back. This is do not adjust your televisions. Jason and I have switched channels, switched hats, brought in a couple of new guests, but we are back for what is volume 13 of Drunk on Ice. We got my co-host Jason in here with me, and then we've got a couple of special guests. We'll let them introduce themselves.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. What's up? I'm Mike from the Fired Up Podcast. How you guys doing? I'm excited to be back. I've been on once before, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be back. Excited to talk some hockey. I got a big game going on right now on the TV. Right, we got the Rangers and Penguins going on. The intermission tied 3-3. So I'm excited to watch that as we go along here.
Yeah, Jess, go ahead.
I'm Jesse Bell. I'm the host of Flyers Alley, and I'm owner of Old City Sports Network. I want to thank you guys for having me come on. Like our Old City, I don't know if you guys caught the Old City Sports Twitter kind of talking smack on me a little bit, but yeah, that was kind of interesting. Hope I don't disappoint anyone. That's all.
I saw them giving you crap. I saw them put something out there giving you a little crap. So I figured it was all a little in-house fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
We're gonna tonight. We're gonna talk about a little bit about what became of the Flyer season. Maybe look a little bit into the future with the draft a little bit, and then go around the league a little bit. Talk a little bit about the playoffs. So, listen, we don't have to explain anything to anybody. The fact that the way that they played this year, disappointing would be an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like the season was over by January. It went downhill right around there.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it sucks. I can't even really judge anything that happened over the last month of the season because it was an AHL lineup at that point with a coach who knew he was gone. So how do you really break down the last month of the season? You really can't. So. Yeah, it's a lot of mess. Fletcher's going to have to do a lot to maneuver his way out of this.
Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's a tough situation that they're in, but I don't know. I don't want to say that it was once Ellis went down, which was very early. He had 3 games. I mean, when Ellis goes down, and obviously the projected time for him to come back is December, and then obviously when December comes around and he's nowhere to be found, people were even questioning whether he was even around or not, like whether he was even, travel. He obviously wasn't traveling with the team, but I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say, and this is going to be wild. I'm not that upset with. I'm upset with the way the season went on. I'm not upset with the way the season ended. We got to get a lot of good looks at some kids, and I'm gonna hold on to that as much as I can. It's not a lot to hold on to.
No. I mean, we've kind of talked about it ad nauseum all year. I mean, the Ellis thing really is huge. You lose the guy that's supposed to be your number one defenseman next to Provorov, kind of complete that whole blue line, and it just never happened. Never. And that whole Ellis thing is weird, too. Like, the fact that they just found out a few months ago what was actually wrong with him. Like, it's wild that all season, since October, they had no clue what was going on with him. It's so bizarre.
What's wild is the fact that, and it was funny because I'm not going to talk about my show too much. We actually were at such a loss of words during our show, just trying to debunk the Ellis thing, and we actually went. Obviously, Old City Sports Network. We had a kind of a playoff, or not a league-wide fantasy hockey league going on, and Charlie O'Connor was the one that actually brought it to our attention on the Ryan Ellis information, saying that the Flyers actually were discussing whether they were even going to pay for his surgery or not. So that actually comes out to okay, so we have a Jack Eichel situation here. And then finally it comes out, oh, well, now everyone's in a good place. I don't know about that, man. So something smells.
It got messy at some point, yeah. Then there's rumors that, is he really happy to be here? Is he happy with the medical staff? And,
and then all of a sudden you hear that all of a sudden his kids like to be here in the school they're in. And now you're giving us too much information. I don't care. No offense. I don't care about your kids. I care about you being on the ice.
Play
Not
hockey.
exposing Provorov not being a
Right.
number 1 defenseman. The fact that he's now like a number 3 to 4 defenseman.
I was gonna say you can't even
Right.
really call him a number 2 at this point. Like he has to have the perfect partner, and Niskanen for whatever reason was that perfect partner back a couple years ago, but he just hasn't found the same magic with anybody else other than
Like, we're
other
gonna
than
get
Niskanen.
along very well.
Yep,
We're
exactly.
gonna get along very well.
I mean, I honestly, I can't really disagree with anything either of you guys have said. Like, for me, obviously, I'm one of those people that checked out pretty early. I mean,
You did.
I guess my long-term love for this team and it factored in with the highest of all high hopes that I had going into this year after the moves that I thought were quote unquote awesome moves by, the GM. It's just to be let down in that manner. It was just, it's hurtful to me because I'm a diehard. And I know, I got in an argument with a guy on Twitter. He was saying, how can you be a diehard if you don't watch the team? It has nothing to do with not watching a team. I don't want to spend money to an organization that I feel doesn't give a shit about the fans. And that's how I feel. Could I be proven wrong? Can this team get better? Absolutely. I think there's quite a few things. And I know Jesse has some things to bring up here, and I'm excited about that. I will say this much. A lot of people were down on the Giroux trade and what we got back. I actually happen to like Tippett. I think Tippett can play, and I think he's a guy that could be part of your future. Listen, people need sometimes changes of scenery, and to me, he's the perfect example of that. Everyone wants to compare, him and Nolan Patrick were both first-round picks, but Nolan Patrick is a little bit different circumstance. I mean, I think we all agree Nolan Patrick definitely, I know a lot of people get in fights over Nolan Patrick, and it's to me, obviously when you have a concussion, that's something that I don't sit there and realistically say I know a lot about because I've never had a concussion. But who knows what's going on with him? But he's gone. Nolan Patrick's gone. I still hear people argue about it. It's funny.
He's even going there. He's even going down there.
Right.
I know that's crazy, right? I mean, but like I said, I do think there are a couple things that you can be optimistic about. Tippett to me is one. I love Zach McEwen. I think he's definitely a leader. And I honestly, I agree with Jesse. You did get a couple good looks at some young kids. So hopefully the future is bright. Hopefully they can get this thing turned around. Obviously it's not going to happen overnight. But I will say, you can't discredit the fact that they did have a lot of injuries. And I hate using injuries as an excuse. But as Jesse said, you lost Ellis, who is your biggest free agent guy in the offseason. You lost Couturier, who I know a lot of people still are down on Couturier, and they say, he's not a great – listen, Couturier is one of your best players on this team, and you lost him for a long period of time. So you can't discredit that. And like I said, I mean, you know how I feel about Carter Hart. I love Carter Hart, and I just think now his second year in a row, it's just a damn shame that he's gotten hung out to dry by a defense that just cannot play in front of him. So that, to me, is still the biggest – issue with this team. I know everyone says scoring, which I agree we need a sniper, but I still think our defense is disgraceful. So that's where I'm at.
At the very least, you have that out. Right. You have the goalie position figured out. So for me, I'm kind of in that boat where the thing that I liked about that you were saying about the end of the season, you got that free look at a lot of those young kids to figure out, can they be pieces moving forward? And that means pieces on a productive Flyers team or pieces in a potential trade. You got to figure out all that stuff where in any other year, none of those guys would have been here. None of those guys, you wouldn't have seen. So in a season where it was essentially over very early, you did get to see some of that homegrown younger talent. Anybody jump off the table for you as far as a young guy that you didn't expect to do well that did well?
I guess I'll take it. So I mean, out of the guys that that you kind of saw down the stretch, I mean, there's really nobody that I expect to really come in and make a jump next year. I mean, I will say this: I think Cam York is going to be here next year. I think he's going to start the year there. And I think Noah Cates looked really good. And he kind of reminds me of like a Michael Raffle or Scott Lawton, where you can just kind of plug them all over the lineup. He doesn't have a ton of obviously skill to be a first line winger, but you could plug him second, third, fourth line. He's just kind of a Swiss Army knife guy. So I saw a lot from him that I liked. But like a Ronnie Addard, he's not gonna really do anything next year, I don't think. Obviously Tippett's gonna be here. They invested a lot in trading Giroux for him, so he's gonna be here. Bobby Brink, I think, has a chance to fight during camp for a spot, but I still think they might want to start him down in the AHL. So I will see.
Jess, anybody for you that you liked, jumped off as a guy that you didn't think was going to be as productive as he was?
So I'm a huge advocate for the Cates family. I love Jackson Cates. A lot of people were down on him. I love his play. I love my grinders. I love the grinders. Love enforcers. Everybody else can kick rocks. Yeah,
spoken like a true Flyers fan.
You know, I do think someone that did actually impress me was Owen Tippett. You know,
Okay.
And everyone that has listened to our show or looks at the wild shit I put on Twitter, I'm not a Giroux fan. Not personally as a player. I think he's a great player. I personally don't think he should have ever been a Philadelphia Flyer. And with that trade, I just don't. This guy coming back that really hasn't solidified himself at all in the NHL. To the standpoint of being involved in the Giroux trade, I think I didn't expect him to do as well as he did.
He's getting a lot more opportunity here. The lineup's nowhere near what it is in Florida. You know,
well, it's the same thing with Morgan Frost. Giroux leaves, all of a sudden Morgan Frost is on the ice. You know, he's coming out from behind the shadow of Claude Giroux, and obviously that's the same thing with Owen Tippett. So I would say Tippett. I do think there's a huge. I think Addard needs to go down to Lehigh for at least a year.
Yeah, he will.
He has to. He's completely.
He was a third or fourth round pick, something like that. So,
yeah, he's just completely. He needs to be reined in a little bit, but I think he could be good. I do agree with Mike with York, 100%.
Yeah,
I love Cam York, and I was very, misinformed about him. No, I do the Flyers. I don't do too much of the Phantoms. I think you're going to see Noah Cates and York on the team next year. I don't think you're going to see Addard. I don't think you're going to see Brink. I don't want to see Brink. I'm not a fan of small players. I just, nowadays more than I used to be, because it's all about speed more than it is about, destroying people. But there is that chance that he could really get hurt. I mean, he's a small guy.
Yeah, so. Absolutely.
That's what happened.
So I'm curious, a couple players that, are I don't want to say not fan favorites, but guys that I would be okay with the team unloading. What do you think the chances are of them, either Konechny or Van Riemsdyk or both of those guys hitting the hay? Because they're two guys that, to me, I could do without. I mean, that's me. I'm curious.
Well, if they want to if the Flyers want to make any sort of move to be competitive next year, goal number one is find somebody for James Van Riemsdyk so you can have some sort of flexibility. Like, that's goal number one. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. You might have to do something with like Ghost, or you have to give somebody something to take them. But that's goal number one. And yeah, I mean, Konechny, I'm fine with. After Provorov's, quotes and everything after the season ended, I'm fine with seeing what you can get for him. So, Jesse, do you feel similar?
I've been fighting that battle for so long.
I mean, it's Provorov, somebody that I really did love a couple years ago. I mean, on our show, we nicknamed him the Machine, because he just goes out, he could play 30 minutes. He was great. I don't know what happened to him. I really don't. It's a mystery to me.
You don't know? Oh, you don't know?
No clue.
Social media. Him and that whole thing about him and his girlfriend. That's
God.
speculation. That's speculation.
This is a thing? Okay.
It's an absolute thing. It's been absolutely proven that he basically was going on social media, watching what everybody, tags him in or whatever. I don't tag many people.
Yeah.
Unless I know it's going to come back positive. I'm not an idiot.
Right.
I'm not tagging him in the things I say. Anyway, yeah, he's watching stuff with his girlfriend and then bringing it into the locker room. And he was. I think the number one thing, the only thing that was actually proven was the fact that he was saying he was questioning why he wasn't being categorized as a number one defenseman anymore. And no one said that. So like he brought that into the locker room. I mean, we're all saying it, but I mean,
Right.
no one else is saying, like, commentary wise, like
That's why you're saying that you believe it, because how would he get that? Yeah,
I 100% believe it because he's young. He's young. It's that's what he does. He's linked into social media. It is what it is. But like, look at how it went down. Look at how it went down.
Yeah, you're right. Very, very similar to another young Philadelphia athlete, right? Jalen Rager's going through a very similar experience, wrapped up in social media, on it, off it, on it, off it. Like,
I think it'd be different if he responded to people. Like if you tag Nate, if you at Nate Thompson in any tweet on Twitter, he'll answer you. Like he's such a nice guy. He'll definitely 100%. I can guarantee a like at least. But like people but some of the hate towards Provorov it's the kind of the ignorant fan base. I would say
he's dismissive. He has a dismissive attitude towards people. You're right, 100% spot on, and I get that. He was that way in his press conference.
No, the press conference makes me feel like he's gone.
He is gone. Yeah. I would put money on he's gone, dude. I would put money on because look what happened to Ghost.
Yeah, but what do you get? I mean, because
I think you can get a first round pick for him, honestly.
I mean, you should be able to get more than that. Like, I would want more. He can be. We've seen the potential of him being a top pair defenseman.
Maybe you get 2 firsts or a first and a future
you get a lot
player.
For Provorov. You get a lot for Provorov.
That's what I'm thinking.
You can get enough. You can get enough that you could start like that, and that alleviates, right, some responsibility in terms of them being able to get more pieces to be able to start to
retool,
rebuild,
retool-ish,
redo whatever this roster can become, because right now you're looking at something that's just like mired in like a lot of stuff and not really anything at the top that you can kind of build around besides.
I don't want to cut in, but is there any opportunity for this team to get a guy like Johnny Gaudreau? Because that would change my Flyer fanhood in like a 360. I'd be back.
A lot of people were asking for not Johnny, and I do troll Twitter and say, why would you not want Johnny Gaudreau?
Why?
He would take a very friendly contract because he wants to come back. Once you hear he's from Jersey, he wants to play for the Flyers. I mean, that's it. Well, what's the problem? Isn't there a blank check? I don't know.
I have a hot take personally. Oh. I would prefer Nazem Kadri over Johnny Gaudreau.
Whoa.
Yeah, I would. Depending on the contract that Nazem Kadri is going to get, because people are saying his contract is going to be ridiculous. I don't necessarily believe that. He's 32 years old, but if you give him a 3 to 4 year deal, something $7.5 million.
But what can I ask? Why? Because I haven't seen the consistency from Kadri that I've seen from Gaudreau, and Gaudreau's younger. No, he's good. But I haven't seen as much consistency. Like, Gaudreau's had some upper echelon years. Kadri, I also kind of look as a guy that had other guys around him. I mean, Toronto's loaded.
Yeah.
Kadri also has had a lot of seasons where he was kind of taken out by his play because he was suspended a lot. But this season has definitely put he's definitely going to make some money this offseason.
Absolutely.
I
he's
guess
gonna
I
make
just
a
look
good-
at the
good
age.
run.
The
I-
age.
I just look
Like-
at needs, and I still think with Sean Couture's injury history, Kevin Hayes his injuries,
I got
I
it.
think center is just so much more important to this team.
Well, what about the locker room though? So the thing that's building in the locker room, which is literally Hayes culture right
Get
now.
everybody, get all of Kevin Hayes' friends. No, I get it. I get it.
But at the same time, so you throw Nazem Kadri in there, you're like throwing a grenade into a daycare. Like,
Right? Not true.
I mean,
that's why
Is that
Goudreau. I
something-
think Goudreau would be great, but at the same time, I don't like going for the sexy names. Like we talked on
And-
Flyers Alley, we kind of want, what is it? I wrote it down because I knew I wanted to bring it to the table, and I do not take credit for this. This is Anthony, our new co-host. He's from Boston. He lives in North Dakota. This is very odd. We would trade the 5th pick with Adder and TK for Chikrin and Keller for Arizona.
I don't like that. I'll be honest.
Why?
I haven't. I mean, I know he's in Arizona. I haven't loved what I've seen from Chikrin in the last year.
You got to see what else there is out there, though. He hasn't played for any other team.
No, I know.
I gotta sit on that one. For a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah.
Like,
I have to
that's-
think. I also think like
So did
I think
I.
at,
and I was
I
like,
think at
whoa.
5,
yeah.
I think they're gonna get a really, really, really good player. And I don't know if they're in a position to make that trade. Like I know they talk about the aggressive retool, but
Right.
to me, make the draft picks and just build.
Would you rather? Let me ask you about that trade. Would you rather Keller or Chikrin?
When you
personally
talk
would
about
rather Keller.
needs, when you talk about I don't know, this defense course sucks, man. It's so
But
hard.
he's only played for the Phoenix. He's only played
Yeah.
for Phoenix, so you don't really know what's going on there. But I mean,
Right.
Keller's had such a stellar year this year. You know,
Yeah.
he did just get hurt. He broke his tibia, so that might be an issue as well. But
Offense
yeah.
in general, like down the stretch, they were scoring a shitload of goals. Arizona for whatever reason. I
Yeah.
don't know why. It's,
an unreal amount.
like
An
Nick
unreal-
Schmaltz was getting like 5-point nights. It was insane.
Yeah.
Like so here's where my reservation comes in. It's like I always have to cautiously optimistically look at taking a good player off of a bad team. Right? Are they, because somebody inevitably has to score points, somebody has to put up numbers. Am I getting a great player, or am I getting the best of what a bad team has? So
Well, do the reverse of Ghost. You saw what he was here, and he was incredibly frustrating. He had some great moments, had some awful moments. Went to Arizona and lit it up. He was great this year.
right. So and there's like the other side.
That's
of
a
it.
great
Like, it's just-
example.
Yeah.
Like-
You might have to wrap your mind around the fact that you might not get that great player. I mean,
Oh,
Oh, I
there
know.
are so
I
many
guess
talks.
I always like the big splash. I get that. You're right. The big splash doesn't always get you to the
I think
promise.
the last time we talked, we were talking about Tarasenko, weren't we?
We were.
Oh,
Last time us three
wow.
were talking,
Yeah.
we were talking about Tarasenko.
How did
and-
Seattle not take him? I really don't get it.
Oh God, I'm so glad they didn't go there. That's where like dreams go to die.
They
That's
could have
that's
they
like
could have
the
had a great
new
team. They
Phoenix.
could have had a great team though. That's
Oh,
the
they
thing.
could have. They have such
Yeah.
a sick everything. I mean, they have Ron Francis. I mean,
Is
come on now.
Tarasenko still available, or is he not an
No,
option?
I imagine he's gonna stay. I don't think anybody's really knows what he wants. I mean, I know he
I think
wanted
it-
out, but
I think those guys kind of depend on what's going to happen in the play the rest of the playoffs. I mean,
What do you?
with the Giroux thing, do you think Giroux tries to come back to Philly if they don't win the cup this year?
no, I think that's done. I don't see it.
I think if they lose, I think if they get knocked out in the first round, I think you're going to start seeing some things flare up that Giroux's going to try to come back to Philly.
To do what here? Win a cup? I mean, I don't know if he
No.
sees a cup in this team. Like I think if he doesn't win a cup, I think he has a chance to go find a team that is a contender. Or if he does win a cup this year, I mean, the writing's on the wall for Ottawa, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he's seen enough of what it feels like to play on a team like Florida.
And every day you see pictures of him at the beach. Like he's loving life right now.
Well,
So-
they're
Yeah, but
right
there are
now
some people in the
currently-
media that sit outside of his house and know that his family hasn't moved yet.
They're currently tied up, by the way,
Yeah,
1-1 in that game.
I got the Rangers.
Yeah,
I got the Rangers game on.
So do I, yeah.
I got them winning the cup.
By the way, speaking
The
of
Rangers winning the
Florida,
cup?
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Speaking
That's a
of
hot
I
Florida,
want
Okay.
Ryan Reeves. I want Ryan Reeves to have a cup, dude. That's my boy. I love Ryan
Okay,
Reeves.
fair enough.
did you guys happen, speaking of Florida, not to get off the subject, but did you guys happen to see that picture of Sergei Bobrovsky that I shared out?
Yeah, I did. I did
Dude,
just see that.
what is he eating? Like they were like,
Nothing.
he's like,
Kale.
he's
Kale,
like
and that's
sitting
it.
like a pencil. dude.
Vodka.
Vodka, right? Vodka and
Vodka.
kale. That's all he's got.
My God.
Fuck. Oh my god.
That's a nice cup.
Yeah, yeah, that's like like for me, I see enough of him, like essentially loving life, almost like
Giroux.
yeah, like just being in a place where he can be uberly productive, surrounded by a ton of talent, almost like when you see a dude that breaks up with a bad chick and is like all smiles and happy with his buddies. Kind of feels like that to me, that like the relationship soured.
He's on vacation right now.
He's in a honeymoon
know.
phase.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well,
Like that's spot on. Like
Yeah.
he's just not in the limelight, and he's loving that. Yes, obviously, but you're right. If he doesn't win a cup, is he going to really be happy in Florida? I'd probably say
I wasn't
no.
happy in Florida, I can tell you that.
And then, well, not to. I mean, they're still a contender. Even if they don't win the cup this year, they're still a contender moving forward. I don't know how they have the money to re-sign them. I'd have to look at their finances, but because I mean they got a
They'll
lot of
make
guys
room.
making money. But yeah, I'm sure you can make room every year. But
I mean, I think they would probably try to at least. But at the same time, I honestly think I do see, and this is going to be kind of a weird take. I see Claude Giroux getting tossed around the league like a ragdoll. I mean, the deal that him and Chuck made and how nasty that was. I want to go here, but they, a lot of people say, oh well, look what Giroux did. Blah, blah, blah. Did you guys?
you don't think it's gonna haunt him though, do you?
I think it's going to. I mean, look what Yandel did. Yandel said that he would do whatever the team wanted him to do that would help the team out in the long run. And Giroux was like, no, I want to go there.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the ball game. And that was what put a sour taste in my mouth about Claude Giroux.
Yeah, but like, what does he owe to the franchise? To
Who's that? Giroux?
Giroux,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, nothing at all. But at
That's
the same time, like this is the captain of the city. He should probably, his statue should be up there instead of what's that? William Penn. It should be Claude Giroux up there. It should be William Penn. Like the city, the media, the fan base, everyone's like praising this guy. What about Wayne Simmons? Why is everyone watching the Leafs right now? Why is everyone watching Florida Panthers right now? Yeah, I think Wayne Simmons did more for this city than Claude Giroux
I don't know.
did.
I mean, Wayne Simmons had like two or three good years.
Really, he put his entire body on the line
for sure.
every single night, and Claude Giroux had what, 2 good shifts?
For sure, but I think
Whenever Crosby was on the ice.
No, for sure, but I think. I mean, Simmons people were rooting for right away, but I feel like he's been gone long enough that people are kind of over it. I mean, even back in what year did they trade? Did they trade Tiemann in back in 11, something like that, or 10, 12, whatever year that was? I mean, people were rooting for the Hawks. I mean, they were watching them through the playoffs. He wasn't even playing. He wasn't even playing for them.
I will say this much. I by the way, I love this little, the back and forth because it's fun. I mean,
absolutely love it.
Well, no, it's fun. It's fun for the show. It's fun for everybody. Like, I personally, I love Giroux as a person. He's a good dude. I don't think he was as great of a player as he gets credit for. Yes, he put up a lot of numbers, but to me, they're hollow numbers. I look at guys like as a Flyers fan and living in a city where this team was built on passion and guys that gave a damn and showed it every day of the week. They never took a shift off. I have to agree with Jeff. I'm not saying that Wayne Simmons should be more beloved, but in my opinion, that guy had a lot more heart than Giroux showed me on a daily basis. Now, you could tell me that maybe that's just a different personality and that's,
different
different situations. I can buy that. But what I will say is I'd much rather have guys on my team. I'd rather have a guy that scores 30 points, but puts people through walls and gives a shit and has his teammates backs and does anything and everything to lay his team up, body on the line, as opposed to a guy that scores 70 points a year and then doesn't really ever really show. Now, and like I said, maybe that's just his personality, and that's fine. But I don't know. Maybe that's why he doesn't mix him. Maybe that's why we never won a cup. Because what was the same thing that stayed the same that whole time from 2010 till 2000 now? It was Claude Giroux. He was the only same thing that was there, and nothing got different with the team. In fact, the team just kind of went on ups and downs, and it didn't matter who was surrounding him. So he didn't carry the team.
No, he didn't carry the team.
He didn't have anyone to play with. He really
I was gonna say he really did. I mean, look at the defensive course too on the teams in the last decade. Like, I mean, you're trotting Andrew McDonald out 25 minutes a night. Like, you're not going to win many games like that.
Fair enough.
I love that you just dropped that name too. I love that.
I have to every once in a while.
Yeah. Everyone forgets about that. I'm like, you guys really playing with that.
Right, the days of Andrew McDonald. Nick
I got excited when
like,
we got Andrew McDonald.
Yeah, I mean
that
he was falsely advertised. I'll tell you, he was falsely advertised.
Like that position for the Flyers is very similar to the same, like you could say about the center field position for the Phillies, right? Like just haven't been able to figure it out year after year after year.
Also, goaltending too it's been like that
always an issue.
Always.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too with the last couple months of hockey was you got to take a look at Sandstrom, and unfortunately, it's just not the answer. And with that,
I was just gonna say, how about this kid they just signed?
Yeah,
I'm hearing a lot of.
So that's good, but the best thing about him is he's not a kid.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been over there killing it. So like we always take him here. Yeah, Ustimenko, that has not solidified. He's with the Reading Royals.
Yeah, as good as this Russian kid looks, and I don't even remember how to say his name, but as good as he looks over there,
Ivan.
Yeah.
But the KHL inflates goalie numbers, so that's my only concern. To see what he does over here, a completely different game, absolutely.
I mean, it's good to have competition. Listen, I love Carter Hart, but you need that competition. Who, Carter Hart?
Yeah, 100%.
Think he's gone? Is that what you said?
Yeah, and it's not something I want to happen at all. But I do think, if you really watch the Chuck Fletcher presser about, so I think it actually was Jordan Hall that asked, what's going on with, I want to say Fedorov. I don't know how to pronounce that name. The new guy, Ivan, or Ivan, whatever.
Is it Fedotov?
Fedotov. There we go. I was calling him Fedorov for a long time. They said if they're trying to make it work with paperwork, getting him from Russia over here, and if they do that, there's going to be no competition for the second string goalie. That means Jones is gone, which
goes without saying. I think.
Rightfully so. Yeah.
Right.
But with that being said, there's a lot of speculation being said that they're gonna see if that pushes Hart to maybe they'll compete. But there's a lot of speculation that says that maybe they're doing that. So if Hart doesn't do anything this year, Hart's on his way out.
Or not only that, but look around.
I think that they're both.
Well, but look around the league and how many tandems there are. Like there's 5 teams that have a true number one goalie. Like so, even if Hart isn't a 60 start goalie, I mean, maybe you split them down the middle.
I mean, I'd be okay with that if they're both good, but I think it doesn't matter to me unless your defense gets fixed.
Well, that's a big thing.
It's an unfortunate number too, though. I mean, you can't make decisions or say things like that, and that's kind of that was Chuck's problem with what I thought was he shouldn't have said anything. Was Carter Hart's like 23, 20, 24, something like that.
What around there, yeah.
Do you guys really think Carter Hart's going to be on the Flyers when he hits his peak? Absolutely not. He's not going to be here that long.
That's a problem.
And that's an issue.
You're right.
Yeah.
If he is there, that means they're going to be bad.
Because they're going to need the coach to stick around, which they refuse to do. And that's why I keep saying I don't want Tocchet to come here. He's one of my favorite players of all time. And I don't. A coach is hired to be fired. and I am not okay with the city. I may get in fistfights.
They'll turn on Tocchet. Yeah, the second they have a bad
will.
season, I mean, it's same thing with Hextall. I mean, he was beloved before he turned general manager, and now everybody hates him.
It's horrible, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's horrible. And did you know, a quick fact, did you know that Hextall's rookie year, he was better than Brodeur and Patrick Waugh?
Was he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone called me out a couple episodes ago. I was torching some goalie, and they were like, oh, I looked it up, and Hextall actually, his rookie year was better than both of them.
Yeah.
87, right? He won
Wow.
the Vezina.
Yeah.
Yep.
Won the Vezina, and he won the Conn Smythe.
Won the
And
Conn
they
Smythe,
lost-
yeah. Only
So-
losing goalie to win the Conn Smythe, I believe.
He was.
Yeah.
His
Wow.
moment of fame, and then of course came '97 when they got swept. I'll never forget that series when him and Snow. Well, they brought Snow in.
I mean,
Wow.
those Detroit teams are ridiculous, though.
Like, just to speak to your Carter Hart conversation.
Yes.
I would have never thought to get to myself to get to that point. Because you
Well,
think like
that
they have
point's
the guys
very mu-
figured out, but then I'm listening to you and I'm going,
So,
fuck,
like,
he's right, like it makes what you're saying makes sense. But in my mind, I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah,
you got
I've
that
never
position
thought of
figured
that.
out.
well, Carter Hart, you
And
look
then-
at Carey Price, right?
Yeah,
Look at Jonathan Quick. Now, those are the last. And Fleury, absolutely Fleury. They're the last of the franchise goalies. There is no franchise goalies left anymore. They say Tuukka Rask, but he's the winningest goalie of all time in their
Vasilevsky.
franchise to never win it. But he hasn't been around long enough yet to be a franchise goalie. I'm talking about like the epic goalies back then. Like back then is what I'm saying. I should have said that first. Sorry. Not
I
now.
got what you're
He'll
saying.
definitely.
I was going to
Just
say,
saying that-
he's on his way. What Shesterkin did this
100%.
year, he's on his way. I mean, Shesterkin had one of the
True.
best goalie seasons of recent memory. Like,
But the problem is that
But,
no
yeah,
one
but-
wants to wait.
Yeah,
No
but
one
what
wants to
you're,
wait to let
but I
him
see
do
what-
anything.
I see what Jesse's saying. Those teams are already to the point where they've already rose. Like the Rangers can win a cup this year. The other team who Vasilevsky, they've won 2 cups. I mean, so yeah, they've already done it. Whereas Carter Hart is not
We all-
really at his peak yet because the team's been so bad he hasn't been able to get there. And secondly,
It's his first full year with the Flyers. It's his first full season with the Flyers. Full season.
yeah, because of COVID, right?
And no
Yeah.
one remembers that.
Yeah.
Like, and it was AV's first season as coach, full season, and they shipped him out.
well, he also seemed like he was here a lot longer. Like, I looked at, he was only here for what, 2 years? It seems so much
AV?
longer than that. Yeah, AV.
Yeah, it's 2 years. Wow.
Was it really 2
Or
years?
2.5
Yeah.
years, I think it
I
was.
think it was. Wait, hold on. That's not true because
It's not true?
no, because we had what's his name right now, Mike Yeo. He wasn't the coach the whole season. AV's been gone since like
No, it was I think it was like 2.5
December.
years, though, wasn't it? Yeah. I think it was like
no, that was this year.
Hold on.
Mike Yeo has not been the coach. He wasn't the coach at the beginning of this year, was he? No.
No. No. Trying to look it up.
Oh, so AV only coached 2020.
There was Scott Gordon when Hackstall left, and then it was AV when we got him, and then here we are. And then it was Mike
So it was
Yeo.
2 years. It was 2
2
years.
He was here for 1 season. He didn't even get a full season with the Flyers.
Yeah,
That's
that's
wild.
pitiful, dude.
Yeah,
That's
that's,
pitiful.
but that's the thing is it's that the fan base and the media and everyone does this to them. Like AV is a very outstanding coach, and I stood behind AV when the Bill thing happened. A little weird. Robin Leonard retired.
It was
Not a
weird.
problem
It
anymore.
was so weird.
Nah.
So weird. So weird. All right. Oh, Rangers just scored.
Yeah, they're up 4-3.
Yes.
30
But
seconds
yeah,
left.
it's just the whole thing is weird. I mean, and I mean everything that's going on. It's 5-3. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, they
I
just
didn't
scored
even
an
realize
empty
they
goal.
scored. I didn't
Yep.
Dude,
realize they scored.
Kreider is a beast, huh?
Yeah. So but it's
Scored
just
50 this year, right? Or 51? Something like that.
He's
It's
turned
just
out to be
it's just
way
too
better than
many-
I thought.
It's too many, not enough times. So say. I mean, I guess eventually we're gonna get into the new coach thing. the new coach thing. So, what are you gonna? Are you gonna torch Barry Trotz or Jim Montgomery when they cook? Because it's gonna be either one of those two. I know that for a fact, 100%. It's either gonna be one of those two.
What makes you what makes you so sure?
Because I know the Flyers were already making a deal with Jim Montgomery. Jim Montgomery's assistant coach for the St. Louis Blues.
No,
So,
yeah.
They were already making a deal with him, and they're waiting to see what was going to happen to make the absolute fine print done deal of what happens after the playoffs. Because they can't take him now, but then all of a sudden Barry Trotz is available. Now Jim Montgomery's put on the side, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Trotz obviously has the resume.
Yeah.
What
about Tortorella? I wanted Tortorella. I guess I'm the.
I think they should acquire Trotz to see what what that would look like. But one thing people keep forgetting: the Islanders still have a say with where Trotz goes. He still has a year left on his deal. They have to approve any place that he goes. So if I'm Lou Lamoriello, GM of the Islanders, you're not going to the division. Go out west somewhere. See you later. So I don't. That's why I don't think
Lou's
Trotz.
Very weird though.
He
fired him in the first place.
I know, but if you're gonna fire him, wouldn't you rather him not come back to bite you in the ass?
Do you remember everyone saying Giroux's not going into the division? Oh, is Florida in our?
No, they're not. No, they're in the Atlantic.
I just want an East Coast. Come on.
No, I think Tortorella makes a lot of sense.
I think Torch would be. You know what I think Tortorella would do? He would literally every press conference would be absolutely silent.
Absolutely.
And I would finally say something. Torch, love you, man. I'm out of here. See ya. I wouldn't say anything, but I would say finally for Torch because I mean he would be great for the media, but he would be horrible for the team.
Do you think he'd be horrible for the team? I mean, obviously there's the Cam Atkinson connection.
Yeah.
He loved playing for him. So maybe Atkinson is kind of rallies the troops, so to speak, and having Tortorella on board. So I don't know if it'd be awful for
I've just always been a Tortorella guy. I mean, if you're going to
I've
ask
loved
me who
Tortorella.
I'd rather have between Trotz and Tortorella, I mean, probably Trotz. But, I mean, that's kind of a recency bias because
Tortorella 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean.
5 years ago. I would be cool with that because he's a straight asshole. He says it how it is, and he's plain, he's blunt as hell. But, you can't talk to the players like that anymore. You just can't. And it turns into a scandal. And then it's and I really think he's enjoying just being on Sportsnet and being on the TV.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Literally honing down on Trevor Zegras.
Yeah.
I just listen once again, Jesse. I wouldn't be against. Listen, if they already have their mind made up and it is this Montgomery guy, I don't know a thing about the guy. No, but I'm just saying. But I'm saying that I look at it from what I view that the Flyers' major fan perspective is going to be. They're going to be pissed off.
I actually like Jim Montgomery.
Jim Montgomery, the fans aren't going to be able to do anything because they don't know who he is. So he's.
I mean, he had success. At, he at Denver. Denver, right? Yeah.
How old is he? The younger guy?
50s now.
Yeah, I was gonna say late 40s, early 50s, maybe.
He's played. I know he was a player, right?
Yeah, he had a cup of coffee with the Flyers.
When AV got fired, Dave McIsaacs messaged me. Not trying to do a name drop or anything. Dave McIsaacs messaged me. He goes, "Flyers need to get Montgomery." I said, "Who the hell is that?"
Yeah.
And I did my research. Dude, he's probably the smartest, has the most hockey knowledge of probably any coach for offense.
And he had a really good record in the 1.5 year
that's
the 1.5 year
right
in Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but Trotz is great for defense.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Which his team needs. His team needs defense.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, they need everything.
Yeah, it's true.
They need a little bit of
sniper that would if they could get a sniper that would alleviate the we just spoke in unison there. We're thinking alike. But no, that would alleviate the offensive concern because
Tippett's got a shot. Tippett's got a shot.
He's not a sniper though.
He's got a shot. He's just got to learn how to finish.
You need one sexy name. You need one sexy name. Just one. Just one.
If they got Goudreau, dude, I would run around naked.
Well, think about it. You get one sexy name, and you get this young core that's around it. You know.
Did I just say that?
No trade. What'd you say? What? What?
It's a stress.
Here, okay.
I think he called Gaudreau sexy is what happened. I think that's
No,
what
I
it
said
I'll
I'd
text you
run
right now.
around naked if they got Gaudreau.
was.
Oh, dude, I said if the Flyers win the cup,
Jay-
I'm gonna be on the news running naked down the street. Don't worry. I'll take it.
Okay, I'll
It'll
join
never
you.
happen. It'll never happen. But
We're going streaking.
Yep.
But like, I think the thing that I like about Montgomery is what you said, Jeff, is that he has no history other than that time in Dallas.
They were successful
But-
in the year and a half
but-
he was there.
Right.
Really good record.
So, that to me is
Washington just scored, by the way. Take the lead.
yes.
Ovechkin.
I think it was
Uh,
Oshie. I think it was TJ Oshie. I think.
Earlier?
that.
Anybody see that
But-
check Ovechkin laid on someone earlier? Holy shit!
What a monster, man. Yeah.
Nah, Nick Backstrom scored the goal
Yeah,
deflection.
Backstrom.
Oh, nice.
No, like I think I'm with you on that. Like, I don't need to see Take because I don't need to see the retread of somebody who is just it would be a Flyers move, right? To try to reach back and reconnect the fan base with a former guy that they identify with. But I think the smart hockey move is to go in that direction of going with Montgomery, not going in a retread with Tortorella or that's the move for me. Especially if you're going to try to build with a young core, getting them to buy in. And I say this tongue in cheek, right, to a guy that you think it might be your coach long term, because we know what long term coach in hockey means.
What? Here's a question for you. So, what is up with Danny Briere, and what is his role on this team? Like, what actually is he?
He's
Like
the
a special assistant to?
he's the future general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Who's going to be the? Yeah, Mike, I got to ask you a question. Who's going to be the owner? Ed Snyder's daughter. That too.
I don't think ownership's changing.
It's going to change. It's going to change real quick. It's going to be Ed Snyder's daughter.
You think so?
Straight up.
Yeah.
100%. Follow her on Twitter.
Okay.
Follow her on Twitter.
I'll have to check that out.
She's been completely landing. I'm not going to.
Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Drop some news, baby.
So about,
Come on,
about
here we go.
a month or two ago, I came across something. I spent a lot of time on Twitter. I'm new to Twitter this year, but I spent a lot of time on it.
Welcome to 2013.
Yeah,
Or whenever the hell Twitter came out.
Elon Musk.
2012.
More about space. So let's go. I stumbled across this tweet, and it was Lindy Snyder saying, "Let's the culture is gonna change soon, fans. I promise it's coming soon." And I sent it to my cousin's my co-host, and my other co-host is Anthony. So I sent it to them, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" Like 2 weeks ago, she tweeted again. Actually, Riley Cote, he sponsors us with Body Check Wellness. He put something out about the culture being changed. She retweeted what he said in a quote and said, "It's coming soon. Let's change this." Blah, 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 blah. So I have full belief that Lindy Snyder is going to rebuy the Flyers. I think she's going to buy the Flyers. She has the money. She grew up in the Spectrum. The son messed up very substantially, but
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen soon. And I think the Danny Briere move is the beginning of that. The Danny Briere's there to evaluate, literally be like, "Chuck, you're messing up. Like, Chuck, you're messing up. Like, Chuck, stop doing what you're doing, Chuck." And then Chuck's going to be gone, because why not? I mean, because we get rid of people like after 3 minutes. And then, Danny B will be GM. Lindy Snyder will be the owner.
You're making me really
But-
happy here,
Well,
Jesse.
I know, and I'm
but at the
telling
same
you,
time,
I wouldn't say it if I
what is
didn't
that?
believe it.
At the same
You're
time, what
getting
is
my
that?
hopes up.
At the same time, what does that change? We always talk about how we want them to go away from the Broad Street bully days, the old
No one
Flyer
wants
ways.
that.
So
Nobody wants that, because honestly, you think you want that, but you really don't. Unless you're an advocate, for you want the physicality out of hockey. So what Zach McEwen did this year, was that not astronomically amazing?
I like McEwen a lot. I think he has a lot of heart. He's a fourth line player, nothing more.
He should have been a second line player.
if I have a Stanley Cup contending team, he's a fourth line player.
Why
And
no one else is doing it? You ever heard of an orbiting lineup?
What do you mean? In what sense?
It's called an orbiting lineup. So basically, what happens is everybody switches every single shift. Everyone moves.
Different
no one stays
roles.
on the same
No, sure,
shift every
yeah.
single time.
Okay.
Right.
And,
So,
and those
if
type
you
of
would have
players.
taken like your Zach McEwen and your Patrick Brown and your Nate Thompson and guys that actually make the play that actually happens and grinds and does those type of things for the sexy players to do what they want to do, why wouldn't you have them on top shifts with these guys?
And I think those players can work if they're a little more productive. Like, I mean, Tom Wilson's one of my favorite players in the league.
Whew.
I think he's great. But and he does all those things and he puts up points. I think you can do both.
I mean, I could see an argument for both, but I agree. I think at the end of the day, you're right. We didn't have a Stanley Cup contending team, so why wasn't McEwen on a second line? Like, why were they trotting out there JVR, time and time again when the guy just obviously isn't it anymore? That's the $1 million question. So I agree. I think there's something to.
When was the last time we won a Stanley Cup? Look at the team that we have. We won the Stanley Cup, right? Hasn't the team been different since then? And we haven't won a Stanley Cup, right?
Sure.
There's no other team in the league since then that has done that. Why not bring it back and take a chance and try?
I mean, you can't do what you did back in the '60s today. I mean,
why? They said that there was going to be no.
You got thrown in jail. You got thrown in jail if you do the shit you did then.
First week of hockey, there was more fights in the first week of hockey this season than has been in the past 10 years.
Yeah, but at the same time, look what has happened in the playoffs this year. And I'm sure we'll get to the playoffs a little later, but it's the way they're calling the playoffs this year is a disgrace. It's awful, but
bad. It's bad.
Hit a rep. I don't know. Hit a rep.
I mean, what is the one factor that you see on pretty much every single one of the teams that are in the Stanley Cup playoffs? It's elite, top level play, guys that can put the pucks in the net. Multiple guys on teams that have 100 points. Like, it's all around the NHL, and that's something that the Flyers are lacking now. Do you need necessarily that to win a cup? Obviously not, because Connor McDavid's probably not going to win a cup again. And he's obviously on the team with, three guys that, two. So my point is that I guess, yes, you need that to a certain extent, but you also need a good system in place, something that obviously, we can only hope that whatever improvements and what changes the Flyers do make, hopefully they have a better system, and hopefully they can get guys that in front of the net play more defensive sound hockey, because that's been their big. If you look at the last 2 years, that's been their biggest. Yes, they need a sniper, but their biggest issue has been their glaring play in their own zone, giving up, horrible, wide open shots. Like Carter Hart basically trying to play out of his mind to the point where a lot of times it's a confidence thing. And you know what, dude? I would probably struggle with confidence if I was Carter Hart playing in front of that friggin' defense.
Look at the defense, too. So, I mean, if you look at how the defense dissolved was, Ellis got hurt. Notice that once Ellis got hurt, the rest of the team got hurt. Hayes got hurt. Couturier got hurt. Thompson went out. Everyone went out because they were literally playing back for the defense. Right. And it's just I don't know. It's just I do hate this season, but at the same time, like, you can't really get too mad at it because you can't get mad at Chuck Fletcher. I refuse to get mad at Chuck Fletcher, because if these guys didn't get hurt, we would all be praising. We'd be watching the Flyers in the playoffs right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to blame him. I mean, in the offseason, everybody loved the moves. I mean, everybody was deep throating Chuck Fletcher in the offseason.
Thank you,
including me.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But because they were great moves.
Yeah.
They made the moves that they made in the offseason.
I mean, I still like Ristolainen. I think Ristolainen, obviously, I like how he is as a player. I'm not saying he's a stud, but he is a guy that I think you can build I want him on the team is what I'm getting at. Cam York, most definitely. I mean, Cam York, I think has potential. I will use that word potential because I'm tired of saying he's going to be a stud, and then I said the same thing about Provorov. But I think, to me, I look at Cam York as a guy that probably has a little more upside than even Provorov. So hopefully, he can hit that ceiling.
Yeah, I think his ceiling is a better version of Ghost, a better, more all-around version of Ghost. I think.
Well, that would be spectacular.
Ghost had such a nice year this year.
Yeah. Yes.
I was such a Ghost hater when he left. I was like, yeah,
Me too.
And then all of a sudden he goes to Arizona. I'm like, wow,
Somebody's got to score.
Not doing too bad down there.
Right.
What's going on?
Right.
Ghost year one. Year one.
They let him play that role. They didn't care about his defense.
Well,
they let him play the power play one role, and that was it.
Wow.
So, speaking of off season, right? Let's before we transition to talk about the playoffs a little bit. Like the draft, right? The draft lottery happens.
Rigged.
They fall to what is their worst potential outcome, right? In where they got slotted.
They could have dropped to 6, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Could
could
they
have.
have dropped to 6?
They could have dropped to 6. Yeah, that was their worst. So
That being said, what's your outlook on how to utilize that pick to be able to make an impact? We know that guy's not going to be on the roster in the near future, right? But how can they use that as a piece to start to build this roster back?
Like, I'm just gonna let you go first.
okay,
I've just been doing it all.
that's fine. One thing I don't want them to do is trade back. I keep hearing that. I know Fletcher brought something along the lines of that in his press conference. It sounds like from everything I've read and heard that this is kind of a draft where after the top 6 or 7, it kind of falls off. So I want to get one of those 6 or 7. So I think they have a chance to get a really good player.
Oh my god!
What happened?
Sorry. Giroux just literally fucking laser beam. I'm sorry, but oh my god!
I turned that game off. I was watching the other game. But no, I mean, I think they have a chance to get a really good player. So I want them to keep the pick, just pick one of the best that's available at that spot.
Who's the best player in the draft?
The best player in the
Shane
draft this year is probably Shane Wright. I
There is
like
a
Shane Wright.
goalie.
I like Shane Wright a lot. For whatever reason, he gives me really bad Nolan Patrick vibes. I don't know why.
Thank you.
So I don't want to. I don't know. I think he has a chance to be a really good player. But the things are saying about Shane Wright are the same things people were saying about Nolan Patrick, and it scares me.
Thank you.
So, but Logan Coley's probably going to go number 2. I really like this Slivkovsky guy, but he's not getting there at 5.
Is he a goalie?
No, he's a winger, a big winger.
Who's the goalie?
The goalie.
I forget his name.
yeah.
I did all this on Flyers out the other night. I have Massive Void. That's all I have right now.
Okay.
But the goalie was it wasn't. I think he had an 8.86. I think it was. That was his save percentage. But it's
looking at a whole first round mock draft and a goalie's not there, so he might have felt. So I'm looking at a mock draft right now. I don't see a goalie going in the first round this month.
I pulled up. So we did like the mock thing and nothing came up. But I went into the NHL Network and just looked at like who was like in the top 5. There was a goalie, but he might not be there now. But the guy Matt Savoy is definitely there. And if the Flyers could snag this guy, I mean he's got a great set of hair. I mean, come on, great set of hair.
I like the name.
Well, he plays for the Winnipeg Ice, right?
Yes.
He had 65 games played, 35 goals, 55 assists, 90 points, plus minus a 54. I mean, playoffs had 7 games played, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. But to be honest with you, he has the strongest stats, I feel, out of the top. Like Mike had said. Wasn't a big fan of Shane Wright. Heard a lot of things that were kind of like, so I'm a big fan of Matt Savoy. I think if the Flyers can grab him, he's 18 years old right now. Bold prediction: put him in the lineup.
How big is he?
5'9", 175.
So he's small for a center.
He's my height and weighs like 30 pounds.
Jess, what about the guy that I'm looking at on kind of geeky. But what about?
I think he has ties in the NHL. Actually, I think we were talking about that.
Is he related to
night.
Morgan? Is he related to
I
Morgan
think
Geeky?
so. The Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, like when I'm looking at the prospects at the top of the draft, it's very center heavy.
Yeah.
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in the top
defensemen?
10.
There's a couple really good defensemen in the draft. Juracek and Nemec are very
that's
good.
The thing that I was saying to Mike earlier, and to like we were talking about how we're excited to jump on here and such, and then I was going to bring everybody back to the light. There are some stellar players that we can grab here, but I do think that Chuck Fletcher is, part of my language, going to fuck shit up, and he's going to trade that. He's going to trade the fifth. He's going to trade that away.
He brought up trading back in the press conference.
He wants to trade. Great. He wants to trade. Well, he wants to trade away the players for picks. You already have 5, so don't do anything weird. I don't know, but
Now you're scaring me. That sounds like a.
Well, it's Chuck Fletcher at the same time. I have faith in Chuck Fletcher. Not a lot of people do.
I have faith when it comes to draft. I mean, look at the team he's pretty much responsible for in Minnesota.
That's very true.
He drafted a lot of good players
right now. Correct.
They're what?
That's the one that stands there right now, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, wait, did he have a part in getting Gabriel Kaprizov?
He drafted him, yeah. He drafted Kaprizov. I think he might have drafted Jordan Greenway.
Really? That's epic.
I believe so, because Greenway was right around the time frame of Troy Terry, so it probably goes back that far.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's so weird because, like I always say, the fan base and the media are so up in arms when it comes to Chuck Fletcher because they need things to talk about or whatever. But there are some good players here that they could get in the first round at where they're at. We got bumped down because of New Jersey because New Jersey did their switch and all that. They bumped us around, but it is what it is. I mean, we could still get. We need things. That's the thing. We need things. Our farm team needs things. We need things. All these kids down the farm team they're hurt the whole year. All these top stellar players. I was in the press box. My first week in the press box, I literally saw nothing but phantoms in the press box. Just hurt. Like Zay Wisdom.
I was just trying to ask you, how does he profile out Zayd Wisdom? Because I heard a lot of good things from certain people on social media.
He's a great player, but these guys went back and played. They either went back to college or they went back to WHL, OHL, whatever it is, and they just didn't play for the Phantoms this year, and they were projected to play for the Phantoms this year. I think that was the biggest issue. The one guy that I talked to literally all my children every single day is Wade Allison, and that was one of the guys that Chuck Fletcher said him and Tanner Lazinski wants to see them fighting for a position to be on the Flyers next year. And Wade tells me a little bit, not too much about anything, but that dude, he's insane. He's literally insane. He sent me a picture. He got stepped on by an ice skate. He has a hole in his wrist. I said, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" He goes, "Oh, I duct taped it up. I'm going out to play again." These fans, they want to play, but they play hurt. Yeah. They all play hurt, and Wade Allison is one of them. He's an absolute warrior. He's gonna play. He's gonna come up to the Flyers this year, and hopefully doesn't get hurt. But yeah.
What about the two guys? What about O'Brien and Brink? I know they were both drafted high by Hextall. Are they both busts? Or are we not ready to?
Brink is no shot.
Nah, bring some press.
O'Brien's nothing.
I'm not sold on.
I don't know enough about him.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of an off the board pick when they made the pick. He seemed risky at the time. He was a project. He had a nice year. Where did he go to school? Was it BC or BU? He went to one of the Boston schools. BU, okay. BU. And had a fairly nice season from what I remember, but still seems like he's not there yet. What was that?
Not. I don't think he's as accomplished as Brink.
No.
Brink is very accomplished, but I'm so scared for these kids. Like, what if Brink runs into Ryan Reeves or like Tom Wilson or like Brad Marchand licks him? Like it's just,
Yeah.
it's just so scary. For
We
these
have
kids.
small guys, is what you're getting. What the theme I'm hearing from you, Jesse, is that they need to get bigger. The Flyers.
Well, that goes
Bobby-
against what
I'm
you said
not
because you wanted
sold on
Johnny
Bobby
Gaudreau.
Brink.
Right.
I'm not sold on Bobby Brink. That's what that. I'm just. There's no way you could get. You can't get taller. Like, what are you gonna add on body weight? Like, that's cool. You're still gonna get your head taken off. Terrifying.
And if you're
Right.
smart and you have the skills to do it and make it work, get Johnny Gaudreau, Braden Point, like these guys come up and are successful.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
speaking-
the guy that I keep, obviously my eye on is Noah Cates. Like,
Love Noah.
and you
Yeah, I like
mentioned
Noah
Wade
Cates a
Allison.
lot.
I think Wade Allison, it's just unfortunate. It just seems like he's just been snake bit by the injuries. Like, it's
They're
not
gonna
that he's
start
not a
him
good
this
player.
season.
You think
They're
they
gonna
will start him?
Yeah. Well, so with Chuck saying that, the messed up thing about how Wade Allison was, he got hurt in training camp.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so unfortunate because he's such a workhorse. Like he is such.
He
a
cares.
workhorse. I can't express to you how much. I can't really say how much, but like he played hurt all fucking year, dude. All year. Like
Yeah.
he played hurt all year because he just wants it so much. And on Flyers Alley, we do this thing called every week, Beauty of the Week. It's usually Zach McEwen. Definitely Zach McEwen, Scott Lawton, whoever it is. All of us, we go and we do 3. We did Beauty of the Year, and then we did Beauty of next year. Wade Allison is my number 2 every single week. He's that guy. And if he can just stay healthy in the off season and put that jersey on right away, if there's a way for that to happen, you will see astronomical things out of Wade Allison. I'll put money on that.
You can't convince me that Wade Allison and Owen Tippett aren't the same player. They're the exact. They look like identical.
The ginger
It's
line.
scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
So,
They're twins. It's nuts.
I think I actually said that. He said it was a very good looking line. Very,
that's
I
funny.
said a gingivitis line.
I like it.
Asshole.
Well, speaking of good looking stuff, right? We'll just talk about the playoffs before we head out. So, what about the playoffs? First, what about the playoff? What about playoff hockey do you love?
I love everything that it hasn't been this year. I love the fact that the whistles go away in the playoffs. I love that it's like the saying is there's nothing like playoff hockey. This playoff has seemed a lot like regular season hockey. I do have a stat. Last year in the playoffs, there were a total of 461 power plays in the entire playoffs. 461. So far, coming into tonight, there's been 340, and there's been 12 tonight. So we're at 352 power plays, and the first round isn't even over. That's like, what, 65%, something like that, of last year's penalties for the whole entire playoff?
They should at least
One
do a
round.
FanDuel. How many penalties are going to be called?
God damn.
Smash the over, because there's like 8 power plays every night. So that's why I really haven't loved, and not to mention the ESPN broadcast has been awful. I'm tired of seeing Leah Hextall.
Oh my God!
Did I get you started?
Oh my God! I love you so much now. I don't need to say anything for the rest of this entire episode.
And
hate that
dude,
word.
honestly, there's been a lot of blowouts too. Like I know there's 3 Game 7s tomorrow, which I'm super excited to watch. But
Yeah.
for the most part, there's been a lot of blowouts. So I'm excited to see like next round. Hopefully this shit gets fixed. I'm excited to see the 3 Game 7s tomorrow. But yeah, sorry, I was long winded there.
No, I liked every bit of it. I don't have to say anything. He handled everything. Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. Dude, the first week was
Nuts.
like how you're supposed to let them play. I thought.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But-
there's been I don't know. I guess with Connor McDavid kind of is a partially reason why. Like I guess they
Connor
interviewed a bunch of
McDavid's on the
players.
board. He's on the board.
Right, exactly. So they asked these players last year, how do you want the games called? And they're
Not
like,
letting
well,
the
if you
Oilers
call it in the regular
play
season,
off.
you got to call it in the playoffs, and that's not playoff hockey.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh,
What happened? What I missed?
fucking-
I got to turn that game. Oh, Florida tied it.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
started to.
Okay.
But like, I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Look,
Giroux.
trying to watch this playoff has been so hard because you think about everything that you love about playoff hockey, and none of it is this.
You know what it should
It's-
really
it's-
make you think? Do you really want the Flyers anywhere near the playoffs?
Not right
yeah.
now.
No, I want sure I want them in the
I
You
playoffs.
want them
Absolutely.
in there
Yes.
for this?
Yes.
Well, no, but
crazy?
yeah, but you want to watch the Flyers in the playoffs.
Yes, but at the same time, I
Selfishly, yes.
like I don't want to die. So I thought, Mike, are you're credentialed, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you really want to go in the press box when this shit happens?
No,
Ooh.
no.
No, I leave at the second period. I'm like, yeah, hit the
Yeah.
pro shop,
Yep.
get the discount. I'm out.
See, I'm a huge fan of. I love overtime hockey. I mean,
Absolutely.
honestly, I don't think there's anything more fun than watching do or die overtime in a playoff game. I remember some. Obviously, everyone remembers the classic 5 overtime game that the Flyers played against Pittsburgh when Mr. Keith Primo, who one of my most underrated players for the Flyers, scored with I believe it was 3:00 in the morning, and I had to work the next hour. So I basically watched the game and then went to work. But yeah, I love playoff hockey. But you're right. What you're seeing this year isn't what we're accustomed to. So for that, I'm pissed. But I will say, even with its deficiencies, I think playoff hockey to me stands above most other sports when it comes to playoffs, because I just think the difference between regular season hockey and playoff hockey, there's a bigger span between that difference than in any other sport. I think football, I'm not saying football playoffs are not a step up, but there's not much of a difference because think about it. There's only 16 games in an NFL season. There's 82 in a hockey game. So when it comes to the playoffs, dude, the level of intensity is the span is just that much bigger, I think, in my opinion, more so than any other sport. Baseball, you can argue baseball's playoffs are extremely exciting too. But I think you see regular season baseball games that, have that excitement feel where, like I said, and maybe it's because I don't really know much about basketball, but I don't see a drastic jump from regular season basketball to playoff. I don't.
I watch hockey.
That's just my opinion.
I think
don't know what you guys
there's
think.
a lot more defense, I think, in playoff basketball than regular season basketball. I think there's a jump, but no, you're right.
I'm talking about the entire
The
sport.
gap, the gap from regular season hockey
It's just
to
the
playoff
different
hockey is
intensity.
gigantic, and it's supposed to
Not
be.
this year.
I was gonna say that's why I haven't loved this year because it feels like regular season hockey.
I love that
No.
you said that too, because I wanted to bring that up and I totally forgot about it. And Mike, you brought it up.
Yeah.
And it's been bad. And honestly, obviously we're all Flyers fans. For the past couple of years, I'm not talking COVID. I'm not talking the shortened season, anything like that. Even before that, it's. And I'll be the guy that say that the officiating has been horrible for a very long time. When we play certain teams, it's been bad. Even Barry Trotz brought it up. Barry Trotz brought it up 3 years ago, saying, "Okay, well, if we play the Penguins, then we know that they're getting 5 power plays and we're getting 1." There's a lot of factors here, especially with this season. They didn't let up on the Flyers this year at all. If you notice, the Bruins. I remember how it was. We had people out on COVID protocol, and that were hurt. They didn't give us games in
remember
hand at all. And
I
then
remember you were
the Boston
pissed.
Bruins had one guy in COVID protocol, and they gave them how many games in hand? They let them redo games. That's absolute bullshit, and that's favoritism, and it's ignored. No one wants to say anything. It is what it is, but it's just there's a reason why the hashtag for the Bruins on Twitter is NHL Bruins. Just saying.
Well,
I have to
listen,
memorize them because I do that.
That's funny.
As shitty as the officiating has been, has there been what is there? Can we say that there's a team that's either lived up to what we thought they would be or surprised anybody?
I mean, the easy answer for the team that's lived up to it so far, and it's really unfair to Nashville, but Colorado just took care of business easily. But it's so unfair because like
I picked them.
the main
Predators.
part of their team was UC Saros, and you can't even have him in a playoff series, so it was really unfair to start. Surprising, I guess the Penguins. I mean, I especially with Louis Domingue, I expected to go down fairly easy.
Same. Absolute. I had the Rangers and I had the Minnesota Wild in the final for the Rangers to win. I
actually picked the Blues in that series.
Oh, did you really? Yeah, I should have done that. Well, the Blues,
How about what?
you know,
They've just been there before. Sometimes playoffs it's all about experience.
How about when Louis Domingue got interviewed after that first win, and they asked him what he ate?
Spicy pork and broccoli.
What was
The
it?
spicy
Pork and broccoli, and then at the Penguins arena the next game they sold spicy pork and broccoli at the concessions.
Did they really?
Yeah.
It's funny.
They'll do anything.
I mean, I agree. I think obviously you said Colorado took care of business. I mean,
It'll be a rough second round. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
For me, my surprise, I'm still going Toronto because Tampa Bay to me is still the number one best team in the league. Like they've won 2 cups and they're just not going away.
Yeah,
Toronto,
part of me.
I didn't expect Toronto to take this series to 7. I didn't.
Toronto's really good.
As Toronto's been.
True artist of every year. I mean,
No, but part of me wonders how burnout Tampa is. I mean, that's a lot of hockey to play over the last 3 years.
very true.
That's true. That's a good point. I'm just saying. I guess I'm still surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm
A lot of the
surprised
big
that Toronto's good. I'm just surprised that they're not the same old Toronto. Maybe I should have put it that way.
Oh, they still could be because they were up 3-2 in a series. So if they lose a series, they still would have blown a lead.
Okay. Well, so then maybe they won't.
I think the absolute answer to that is the fact that Tampa was just not the guy.
No.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Like the first
Their lineup is epic.
Yeah, I mean the first month and a half of the season, he looked like a Vezina winner. He was unreal.
Yeah. And then, even in the playoffs, he's looked really good some games.
Yeah.
And then because we have what was it, Beers, Buds, and Blue on Old City, which actually ended up being really good, by the way. Adrian is the host of that, and it took off because they did good, but when they do bad. We don't want to talk too much right now, but of course you don't.
Yeah, but when you win,
I want to hear how bad they were.
And then when they eventually win, they won't shut the hell up. That's how it goes.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's exactly how it is. Mike knows.
Yeah.
Jay, anybody else you want to talk about before we head out?
No, I'm just glad that we got to have these 2 fine gentlemen on the show,
This is
and
great.
I mean, I loved every minute of it.
I could talk hockey all night.
Great conversation. I feel like we could go 3 hours and still have stuff to talk about. That's what's awesome.
I thought we were going at least 2.
I gotta work.
I packed a cooler.
These guys' beers.
What'd you crack open there, Jesse? What are you drinking?
Well, I was going to say, give us the beer before you get out.
Can I do it? Because it's one of my sponsors. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so this is Shape of Haze to Come from the Chamonix Creek Brewing. It's one of our sponsors.
Let's go.
Okay.
I don't really like craft beer and stuff like that, but let me tell you something. Holy shit, they're amazing. Nice little hazy.
We can see it on your smile there, Jess.
There we go.
And
Perfect
now it's
Friday
going
night.
down your throat.
Listen.
Oh, there
I
we
got
go.
my wing sauce guys here. Old City Sports Network wing sauce. Got Body Check Wellness here. Yeah, I gotta do my thing out here.
Hey,
I really appreciate you guys asking me to come on though. It's been a
please,
while.
Listen,
Been too long.
It was we had gone a little bit too long considering it got a little redundant talking about the same shit every week.
Yeah.
But I think moving forward we'll probably revisit this in a couple weeks, come back, talk a little playoffs a little bit more. So
So you
it's an
guys are
open
doing
invite
kind of
if you-
like a drunk on broad instead of drunk on ice Flyers thing. You're doing just the league, right?
Yeah, we're just at this point still want to touch base on the hockey stuff, but there's really not a whole lot of Flyer stuff. So we'll touch base on the league a little bit. We got it was a busy night, Jay, but Fun stuff, gentlemen. Before we head out, tell them where we can find all your stuff.
Yeah, we're for the Fired Up Podcast on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all the spots. Anywhere you get podcasts. We do have a website, firedupsports.com. We got a small team of writers right now looking to grow it, so check that out. We just put up a couple Sixers articles today, because that whole thing's a mess. So, yeah.
Talk
So
about a team that's got issues.
yeah, where to begin? So yeah, I appreciate you guys doing this.
No,
inviting us
absolutely.
on. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. And Jess, as you
Jess,
said,
go ahead.
Oh, you want me to plug? Okay. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I'm the host of Flyers Alley. Go to Flyers Alley Pod 1 on Twitter. Flyers Alley anywhere on Facebook. Do your thing. We're obviously part of Old Sea Sports Network. Go to www.oldseasportsnetwork.com. Old spelled OLDE. That's very tough. The tough one. But same thing on Twitter. Old_sports. Just look for us. We're there. We're around. We're the guys everyone hates. So look for us.
Real quick, Jesse. So you're involved with this what's it called? The Ice
No,
Wars?
I'm not.
You're not involved with it anymore? Okay.
Not anymore.
Okay.
If you want to talk about it, I can talk about it.
That's coming up like next week though, isn't it? Or
So
soon?
next Saturday, I am I'm still so I was the regional manager for Ice Wars. I'm not anymore. We came to disagreements, but
Okay.
yeah, next weekend, if you guys I don't know if you guys are in the general area, we have a sponsorship with Ice Works in Aston, PA, where the alumni play usually. We have our own personal Old Sea Sports Network bar. It's called Top Shelf. We're broadcasting it there. We're doing
Okay.
a lot of raffles, a lot of there's actually a Bago tournament happening.
Oh, okay.
Sterling Pig, our big beer sponsor, is up. Yeah, I see it. Yes. But yeah, that's happening. I was involved. I'm not anymore, but it's a good thing. Support Frank Bialowis. He's a great friend of mine. He's the judge there. So look it up. I'm not going to promote it, but
Frank the
Fair
animal.
enough.
Anyway.
All right, well, listen, you can find all the Drunk on Broad content, Drunk on Ice, Drunk on the Fightins, Drunk on the Court, Drunk on the Birds, all that stuff. You can find it on social media, anywhere you find your podcast. Hit the link tree, check out our sponsors, Team Clicks, Streaker Sports, the energy drink, the Shocked energy drink that won't send us the free samples of stuff that we contacted them on social media, but that's another day and another conversation. Gentlemen,
What an ad.
It's been great.
What a ringing endorsement.
I know how it feels.
I really hope they're not listening.
plus.
But if they are, send us the samples and we'll show you shit on the show.
No,
All right.
talk
Yeah,
that
you
shit.
gotta call them
Talk
out. You
that
gotta
shit.
call them out, dude.
Absolutely.
I did it.
Sounds good, brother.
Yeah.
All right, fellas.
Jim DeCreek.
Guys, peace out.
Later.